Hello, everybody.
Yeah, Berserk, the dark fantasy anime. Everybody has heard about. Um,
1
so
second of silence, 1 minute of silence for Kentaro Miura, who left us.
right,
That's about right. Let's go on.
yeah. I've read the manga before. But this is the first time watching the anime, and I believe it's the same for you as well, Heraclius.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes, this is the first time watching it for me. I have started this anime and never finished it. The manga, of course, everyone knows about the manga. Everyone knows about its strengths, but I had actually never read it in particular. And overall, I was very impressed with the anime, but we'll talk about that later or
Mm.
now.
yeah, so the anime came back in 1997. Um, and I don't know. I kind of got used to it after a few episodes, but the first episode for me was a bit rough. Looked a little bit like a slideshow, but then I guess I just got used to it.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
don't watch Claymore. Don't watch Claymore then.
Yeah, if Berserk the Golden Age looks to you like a slideshow, don't watch Claymore. That's a good idea.
The only other anime that I felt that was like a slideshow for me was Princess Tutu.
Mm.
If you've heard of that,
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
right?
Interesting that you will bring it up because it has some interesting meta commentary, which no, I don't know how to link it to Berserk, to be honest. I was trying to riff on it, but it's not a good road to go to, I think.
Okay, then I guess let's start with the dark fantasy genre label which is given to it. So one of the things which I remember you said, Heraclius, was that like you didn't even feel the fantasy elements while watching it until right up at the end.
yeah, so most people know this, but like the story starts after like a single episode of looking at Guts and the Black Swordsman arc is almost like a preview of what's going to come on. You then cut back and you start with Guts as a very like almost 14-year-old kid,
Mhm.
and he's just sort of drifting around. He falls into Griffith's little band of the Hawk by accident, and we don't see anything supernatural until about episode 7 or so, and
Mhm.
that's when all of a sudden we meet this giant warrior called Nosferatu Zod, and it's just this wild beast thing. And until then, it's been a very standard medieval fantasy, albeit one with a darker tinge, since it's focused entirely on the exploits of mercenaries at this point. But it's really excellent at that because you're given all this time to get to know what normal life is like, to feel like this is the capability of what our characters are able to go up against. Guts himself is, even as a kid, the Black Swordsman. He is one of the most powerful warriors around. Few can stand up to him. And then when he walks up to this giant demon and it just makes him child's play, uh, it really gives you a shocking feel of what these demons are like, how helpless humanity is next to these things.
Yeah, very well said. Agreeing 100% so far.
so the anime covers the up to the eclipse arc. S- Basically, like there's only like so there's some supernatural stuff in the pilot episode, in the first episode, because like the first episode is set after the story of the rest
Mm.
of the anime. And then most of the fantasy stuff is basically at the end, but you're not going to forget that. I think. Um, so thoughts. What do you make of the? I mean, obviously, I don't think. I don't think it's a problem if even if we talk a little bit about what happens after
Mm.
the
I
anime.
think after 20 years, people can, can stop worrying about spoilers, I suppose.
20 years after the fact,
Yeah,
more.
more by now. Yeah, was 20 years in 2017.
Yeah,
So
25.
after 25 years, I think we can talk about this stuff without spoiler, without being afraid of spoiling people.
Yeah.
That
So
said, if you, gentle listener, are listening to this conversation now and you haven't yet read Berserk the manga or watched the anime, and you're asking yourself what the hell are these dudes talking about, this is the moment at which you pause the video and you come back after you have watched the end of the arc. Thank you.
right. So afterwards, basically the fantasy aspects take over, and some people like that anime snob like do not appreciate that. I guess as a similar, a more similar modern example. Well, it's not exactly the same, but I guess if you have seen Attack on Titan, like the plot
Mm.
suddenly changes and it becomes about something else.
Yeah.
Um, so
I think that the poor anime snob is making one assumption, like that you can't change the stake of a show, more or less. But uh, he's the same guy who can't see the similarities between Star Wars and other shows and Legend of the Galactic Heroes. I think I was talking about that time, and the Lensman series, which is the master series, I think, in Western science fiction and fantasy, at least about upping the stakes, because you start with this guy who has a machine that makes him a telepath, and he's a intergalactic fed, basically tranching pirates, and you end up with people throwing planets at one another from galaxies of distance. So I
Oh, you mean?
think I think it is perfectly legitimate to change the stake of your series. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I haven't watched past the Golden Age arc, so I can't comment on how well it is done. But I would agree that there's nothing illegitimate about it, about necessarily making that choice.
um, so I guess I should have started this stream with this question. I just don't get how some people, even if it's just a meme, say that like. Oh, maybe I just don't get the meme. That Griffith did nothing wrong. Uh, can
This
you
did
explain to
nothing
me their
wrong
logic?
to say. Did nothing wrong. They're simply funny to say because Griffith did everything wrong. It's the point of the manga.
It is, but at the same time,
No, please. No. He did everything wrong.
Come on, do it.
no, no, no.
Come on, go, go.
It's like the decisive turning point is when he makes that choice at
Yes.
the end during the eclipse arc. Up up until then, nothing he isn't like he's hardly evil incarnate, and there's a lot of bits about him that are admirable.
Mhm.
He's this character who he is absolutely motivated. He has this ideal where he basically just wants to get high in society to it takes the form in his visions of reaching this giant castle over in the
Yeah.
sky out there.
And he
Um,
has a problem with rationalizing the sunk cost fallacy, as the other demons will manipulate him too. But
yes. But he, as a leader of this little mercenary group, the Band of the Hawk, he is incredibly effective.
oh,
Uh, he is the one that everyone rallies behind
mhm.
in this whole group. He consistently brings them through, and it's also worth noting that a lot of mercenary groups are like basically no more than thieves. You can tell that the Band of the Hawk is made up of like former thieves, but
Yeah.
they really don't do that. Griffith has this doesn't wish to do that, possibly for moral reasons, possibly because he's also trying to make his way up in the world and so wants this little
Yeah.
troop to be
Griffith has an
respectable.
history about procuring stockpiles, let us say, for these campaigns. But this is a pretty gruesome scene, like in the Golden Age arc, when I don't know, he prostitutes himself to that Duke basically to have stuff to eat when the band of
Yeah.
the book
Oh
is more
yeah.
or less.
And it's a very interesting contrast between him and Casca there. You only find out about that scene later. Um Casca is like this girl that Griffith like almost brought up on his own, like because
Mhm.
he saved her when she was a child, or rather, he gave her the tools to save herself as a child, which very indicative of Griffith's worldview. Um, but yeah, Griffith basically prostitutes himself to some pederast when the Band of the Hawk is starting out early because he
Mhm.
sees this as, hey, this is simply the fastest method. This is the most effective method. I do whatever is most effective.
Yeah.
And Casca, who is usually 100% alongside him on this type of stuff, is just absolutely torn back, disgusted by it. Because, like, Griffith has no shame. He
Yeah.
has he has no shame in doing that or
He
doing.
shows no shame, but if you remember, there is that scene when he's taking a bath in which he's recounting the episode and he scratches his arm because he's having like a post-traumatic stress disorder over doing that. But he has to show to the band of the oak like I'm a sigma male, I don't give a fuck, you know. He was
Yes.
devoted to the grind, and we are going to have castles in the end. So you just do whatever the fuck I say.
Oh
To which
yes.
you would say absolutely based, but you have to know your limits.
Yes. Man's got to know his limitations.
Yeah,
So
which is the core of the plot in the end.
justifications for Griffith, which I've heard, by that point, the demons were going to kill everyone anyway, which is I'm not sure that that's actually certain, even if he had rejected their deal. Um,
Well, it's interesting. They do definitely. I got the impression that they intimated that they were going to at least kill him if he
Mm.
didn't go along. I couldn't. There was like a single line of vague dialogue which very much gave me that impression.
You mean the god ends to Griffith if he didn't sell his friends?
Yeah, like once the eclipse happening. It sort of makes this.
You see, the dialogue to me reads more like they don't even consider the possibility that he would refuse, because the causality of the universe says that he will accept, and so on and so forth. But in practice, they are also gaslighting themselves beyond just gaslighting him, because in practice, what they do to make sure that he accepts is that they start gaslighting him and showing like, look, all your friends that have died up to until now. If you refused your dream now, they have all died for no reason, and so on and so forth. You know?
Yes, exactly.
So
Oh
they
yeah,
are not actually so convinced that he would deterministically accept, because if they were that, like, what's his name, the chief of the God Hand, the guy with the brain head, Null? No, I don't remember now. That guy doesn't do anything to gaslight him, because his fate is perfect. Like, he knows he will say yes. So I will just sit here and wait for you to say yes. The others are not so convinced, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, so I guess the other justification would be basically the gaslighting, that basically those men had kind of in a way agreed to die for him anyway, um
Mhm.
essentially. So
Yeah.
it would be I guess hypocritical now to go back on what he has been doing all along, or something along those lines.
yeah,
Though obviously it's not the same.
Also that, but you know, they were working in on the present and on the past, because there was that kid that they showed him, like, that they had joined the Band of the Hawk and died one battle later, basically for you know, because it's a battle, people die, and basically they make him, yeah, that is pretty advanced gaslighting, to be honest.
oh yeah. But the thing with Griffith, and I'd always heard that Griffith did nothing wrong. It's like, oh, okay, this guy is like terrible. This is like a meme that people make about absolutely embodiment of evil characters who deserve everything that's coming to them. And I was surprised how much I didn't feel that throughout most of Berserk. Like, he's an admirable leader all the way throughout. He is absolutely selfless for his
Mhm.
band. He has. It's interesting, the relationship between him and Guts. On the one hand, they're close, but on the other hand, they're distant. Like, they both have this very great trust in one another,
Mhm.
and like absolute loyalty. But at the same time, they don't really talk to one another about extraneous things too much. Mostly because they probably feel it's unnecessary until, well, it does become
Mhm.
necessary. Um, but yeah,
No,
all
Go on, sorry.
yeah, all the examples throughout the story of like in the medieval arc where they are in this kingdom of like Griffith killing people or assassinating people is pretty much always entirely in response to assassination attempts and intrigues against Griffith that
Mhm.
really he can't do too much to placate these people or anything like that. They're always going to hate an up and comer. They're going to hate someone who's not noble, a damned mercenary, being raised almost to the point of knighthood, and then
No,
eventually to that rank.
I mean, he ends up having us doing some pretty gruesome things in the pursuit of ending those intrigues. But the act itself of ending the intrigues like killing those people, basically. Even perhaps not that guy's kid, you know what I mean? But in
Oh yeah.
general, that was pretty much self-defense, I would say.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. It was pretty much self-defense. He did involve strangers in terms of Guts did kill that kid who was a perfect reflection of young him,
Mhm,
and and of course that screwed up Guts a little. But at the same time, if he wanted to keep things quiet, he had no choice. He never wanted to kill that kid, Guts.
mhm,
Um, and then later on, when when it comes to the final intrigue against the Queen and all the rest of her supporters, he does involve like a local band of like thieves or whatever, where he pays them
mhm,
off to keep Princess Charlotte safe and make sure that she doesn't get into any place that might get burned down soon.
mhm.
Uh, because his romance with her is his ticket to even higher power.
Yeah.
Um,
It is
And
the fate of Princess Charlotte is very sad, to be honest, because Griffith never really gave a shit about it. It is
I mean,
like no
he
cap, you know what
yeah,
yeah,
he was thinking about guts while sleeping with her, essentially.
yeah,
yeah,
not
she
even joking.
Oh yeah, I mean, there might be some residual affection there, but he always saw her as a means to an end. Ultimately, that's what she was all about.
So,
And
yeah.
yeah, but what I was surprised by was that little scene where after they butcher those 10 or so thieves, Guts does it. And it's worth mentioning that this entire plan goes off. Only Guts knows about it. Guts
Mhm,
is the only one Griffith trusts to tell about any of this, to to really be his partner in crime, shall we say?
mhm,
Um, and this and Griffith has this line of dialogue where he goes to Guts and he basically asks him if it's all right to do this. But like
yeah,
we did involve like some Yeah, they're criminals. They're not exactly the nicest people in the world. And if we're going to do this, we have to tie up loose ends. But
mhm,
we did kill like basically 10 people or so in cold blood. Uh,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this.
and that's not the only thing, right? Also, you have to remember that they for Griffith to get sort of hold of the who is it, the Chancellor or something, that little fat man, you
Hmm.
know,
mhm,
who was always plotting behind the scenes. Well, he had them kidnap his daughter, right, or his granddaughter, and
Mm,
then like um look after her for like a week, right? So after they look after his like daughter for like a entire week and don't like do anything to her and are very well behaved. Gr- um, Griffith then tells Guts to go and kill them, right?
yeah.
you know
No.
when there is this great side to a Griffith, right? Which most of the cast see, but Guts sees the Hawk, let's say, right? The sort of very vengeful side of Griffith, which is kind of what you need, to be a leader, right?
Oh,
Especially
yeah.
under the circumstances Griffith was in.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
He does have
but
this
yeah,
great.
Guts actually knows Griffith, unlike the rest of the cast.
Yes. Yeah, Griffith does has this great vengeful side to him where he will just like stare someone down and his pupils will get absolutely tiny, and it's this motif you see throughout the anime when he is just like selected someone for death almost, and it's quite chilling. And but it's quite interesting that scene because Griffith has this moment of like self-doubt where he wonders, was this worth it? Like recruiting this band to kidnap and then killing them. Is this like what we're about? And Guts basically says, "Hey, you know how many people you've asked me to butcher through all these years, all these enemies, all these soldiers. This much can't stop your dream. Let's keep pushing. There's no problem at all. This much can't stop you, Griffith. I believe in you."
Yeah.
And
The consequences, the quote.
what are the consequences? Yeah, but of both of that quote and of Guts leaving immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
Uh,
Look,
I,
Guts
I, I, I
leaving.
s- I so love how Griffith and Guts like are totally diverge in terms of like what they expect to happen after Guts leaves.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Because
Guts.
Bob basically shit the bed in that moment. Because what was the problem? The problem was that Griffith, wearing his Sigma male persona, was talking with Princess Charlotte and saying, I don't see anyone my equal except those that can strive for their own dream. And fucking Gratz happens to overhead, not understanding that Griffith is basically like he's saying that and he's thinking that in that moment, but he's basically role playing because he actually cares a lot about everyone because they wouldn't be good sacrifices if they didn't care for the Band of the Oak and for the Guts and for everyone else. That is the point of the sacrifice. You have to care for those you sacrifice. So he's saying bullshit, all right? He's not serious. He's trying to impress Princess Charlotte because he's playing the Sigma male. And he listens, and like a guy who scrolls on the shorts on YouTube and listens by mistake to a short by Tate, the guy, if you know him, but the Sigma male but that's in vogue right now. He takes him seriously, and that precipitates the fucking plot, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, Thank you for making me realise just how like amoebable Griffith and the whole Sigma male grind sets could potentially be. I have like an idea for a meme. Anyway, yeah, though it's interesting to think that all of this could have been solved
Oh yes.
after a good left Griffith. If Griffith had just visited a optician and put his glasses on.
Put your glasses
the
on, yeah.
the
So put your glasses on. Nothing will
be wrong.
be wrong.
Yeah. but
Bad.
I love the
Uh,
contrast in
uh,
terms of
have we
Fahrenheit. You have the
how much have
worst connection in the
we spoke?
world.
He's probably in the Bahamas.
Yeah. How much have we spoken about the anime yet? Or have we not even touched it? Oh,
Well,
sorry. I shouldn't tempt nature like this. Is it okay now? Uh-oh.
Yes, it's okay for the moment, for the
Okay,
second,
good. Yeah, I walked out to.
and now it's gone.
Now it's gone.
I should only expect I don't know, like 4 meters into wilderness tops for for my coverage.
mm. So you were asking whether we started talking about the anime. Well, sort of, not really. The same as usual. Right.
That is our grinds that we are going at it by many angles at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Hopefully, uh, just as like a side note, hopefully my audio isn't too bad, because oftentimes it isn't great when I hear myself back. But I don't know. Is it okay? Is it okay?
yeah, it's okay.
Because if it isn't, I won't talk so much.
It's okay. It's
Okay,
okay
okay.
now. Yeah.
People tell me, remove the weeb shit on the screen and add more Berserk. Free my nigga Mosgus. He doesn't get the joke. You don't get the
Yeah,
joke.
yeah. Unfortunately, the guy who created Berserk,
Kentaro Miura.
Entaro Miura, likes this weeb shit more than you do.
You mean liked? He liked it more than working.
Who knows? Who know? Yeah, who knows? Maybe he's playing Idol Master in heaven or whatever. Anyway, so maybe that's heaven for him. Not having to work on Berserk. You
hope
can
he
just
is.
Just working on Idol Masters, full chill, you know.
right.
Rating the Rezinshi on H anime.
So speaking of fetch anime, one thing which I'm glad that they didn't include in the anime was the whole pedo king. Um, uh, I'm
Okay,
kind of
but
tired of the topic as well.
which one are we? Yeah, but like which one are we talking about? The
Not the
incest
Duke,
pedo
an
king,
actual king,
or the pedo king, or
not
the
the pedo Duke
or
or
the
whatever Baron or pedo Baron. I don't know. Um,
yeah.
I mean, yeah. No, I mean, Charlotte's father. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I really didn't like
Well, you
that.
know.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
Hello?
Hello, yeah,
Hello, hello.
Okay, I can hear you.
you can't hear us.
Yeah, I
I.
think
Okay, now yes, I can now. Okay.
Yeah, so what I was saying was that in the manga, basically the reason why they torture Griffith is like the king tortures Griffith and start persecuting the band of the Hawk is because he wants to have sex with his daughter or keep her pure or whatever.
Well,
Because
no. What it is ultimately is Griffith jumped the gun. Like Griffith was already on track to marry this guy's daughter, to
Well,
to have that become the new relationship. But what happens is Griffith basically is driven into despair because of Guts suddenly leaving. He doesn't know what the hell to do. Guts thought, "Oh, Griffith will just understand that
yeah, that's what
I
happened in
need
the
to
anime.
follow
I
my
was
own
talking about the
path and
manga.
to grow." Well, I don't know what happened in the manga. I'm talking about the anime right
Yeah, I was
now.
talking about the manga. So what I was saying was that that whole plot arc about uh, Charlotte's father, basically the queen that we see in the series is I think it happens to be the stepmother, or Charlotte's stepmother, not the actual mother, but the previous queen.
Hmm.
And I guess the previous queen is actually Charlotte's mother, and the king saw Charlotte as a
see,
sort of surrogate of his wife, essentially, of his dead
Hmm.
wife. Yeah, but what
they're
you're
just pointing to me the similarities with Pippin, the Pippin meme about having a daughter being the ultimate cuckery. You raise them for 18 years for a femboy bad person to snap. Think about it logically.
Yeah, that's basically what the king feels. He feels
That's his
like
mindset.
he has been NTR'd by Griffith, something like that. I really
Well,
hate.
again,
Yeah,
I always viewed it as like this is Griffith jumping the gun. Like it's one thing to eventually get engaged and get married and all that whatnot, but to do it without the formal approval of betrothment or marriage, that's
Yeah.
fornication and rape.
right. But I don't think that in the manga, like
Yeah,
the
sorry,
king would have a
sorry for just cutting in here, students. I think in the manga, like both those things are happening at the same time, right? On the
exactly.
one hand, Griffith is, Griffith sort of he comes into Charlotte's room and they get their groove on together, and then but and then obviously Griffith is then captured, because as Hercules said, he is breaching this sort of sacred boundary. Um, but the reason why Griffith is tortured so brutally over the course of a year, his face is horribly mutilated, his tongue is cut out, the muscles in his legs and arms are cut
Cut.
away, so that he can only really so that he can only really crawl around. And basically, he's like completely put out of commission. There's like no way he will ever even like be able to walk again, let alone fight or anything. But the reason for this is because yeah. But the reason for this brutality is because the king, and this is in the manga now, is because the king sees his wife in Charlotte, right? As
Mhm.
Yeah.
as has been said. So it's kind of the play of both these things. I think it still works in the anime, where like I can definitely see a prisoner being treated like this because they've violated royalty.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, obviously, but yeah, in the manga,
Uh,
the king is much more in the background. He's more of just a I don't know, like a plot device maybe. But yeah, even
well,
even in the anime, and the king is still kind of interesting.
yeah, in the anime, like the king is the only one that sort of speaks up for Griffith, you might say, or sees value in him. Where, understandably so, because he's the king, and Griffith and his forces are incredibly effective mercenaries, and wants to keep them on his side. But all the other nobles just see in Griffith a
Mhm.
threat to their standing, and so they're trying to assassinate him.
You can
And
say
and
that
that's why I
Mhm.
thought it was very realistic that like after Griffith has this transgression, which can be made into something quite major, that he would go through this living hell because there's still going to be some amount of resentful noblemen who are going to turn on Griffith now that they have this excuse and opportunity, and lobby for the maximum punishment for him.
S- would you guys describe Berserk as quote unquote anti-aristocratic or something like that? You know, like showing this type of society in an unnecessarily cynical or light.
In general, yes, I'd agree. I mean, you don't have to take it as 100% that, because you can have this idea of, hey, this is a degenerated aristocracy, this is what they've done. But at the same time, there's like, n- okay, there's like a couple dudes in the background who are sort of like understanding of Griffith and his power and don't like totally hate him, but like almost everyone else is totally paranoid about Griffith. Not understandably so, but even so, they're like, ah, those damned commoners trying to interfere with us. Ah, and it. There's really not any sort of positive view of aristocracy or anything like that in this show.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's very true. But on the other hand, they were kind of right, weren't they? At the end of the day, Griffith comes and he causes some serious trouble for this kingdom. Sort of at the end of this arc that the anime covers. I think the anime covers like multiple arcs. I'm not quite sure how the arcs work, but
Mhm.
sort of at the point of the festival, the eclipse. Well, the queen's dead. The sort of next in line is dead. Charlotte's husband to be is dead. uh,
Mhm.
you know, uh, a lot of the army is now fighting another faction sort of within itself. The Band of the Hawks is like completely is basically a shadow of what it used to be. The king is sort of having like this breakdown basically because his world has been turned upside down. He has this very distant relationship now with his daughter. His daughter despises him. So
Yeah.
ultimately,
See.
Griffith being introduced into this kingdom, and what Griffith does as a result of this, of the plot. Well, this kingdom is now like completely destroyed.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
most of that's not in the anime at all. The impression I got was that the kingdom was on the up and up. Just that some of these nobles are periphery nobles are
well, you
getting stripped. Are going to have to put up with the fact that the Band of the Hawk is going to be made their superiors.
Well, on the one side, they finally won the 100-year freaking wars because
Yeah.
on the other side, yes, there's going to be quite a bit of a mess following basically the king going against the one part of the army which was unfailingly loyal, except for the fact that the chief banged his daughter. But
Hmm.
it is in part it is a complex situation, and it will be in part understandable that he will be mad, but
Yeah, and it's not like Griffiths like he's trying to put the peasants in power or something.
yeah.
No, no, he's most certainly not. He just wants to become like the next another big noble family, like
Yes,
everyone else.
he just wants to join the club in the end.
Yeah, and like at the end of the day, inside that system, that's totally like accommodatable. Like people were raised to nobility all the time. Like, okay,
Yes.
yeah, usually not mercenaries, but hey, it happens.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think
Well,
the Berserk shows aristocracy in a cynical way for sure, but it is because Berserk shows most of anything in a cynical
Yeah,
light. Let's say.
yes, that was one of Snob's criticisms that like it's too cynical.
I wouldn't say
That
it's too cynical. I will say it makes a choice in the atmosphere of the show. Let us say this is a shitty word, and you are going to deal with it.
yeah. I think the way that Snob put it was that like it's a world in which the strong can do whatever they want, and yeah,
Mhm.
the weak suffer what they must or whatever, something like that. No,
Yes, it is a medieval Europe in which there's no real Christianity, basically, even if there is the Holy See, but it's not. Those guys are not, they're not the same kind of thing. Let us say, let us keep at that. And it still works on pagan Conan-like ethos, basically,
Mm.
which is a way in which I can see a Japanese misunderstanding the Middle Ages in Europe, let us say.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Another,
yeah.
yeah. Just another thing to mention while we're on this topic is the one thing it does show. Um, is the need to incorporate talent into sort of new bloods into the aristocracy, right? Griffith is like obviously more competent than the other generals, and he is also like literally needed to win the war, right?
Mm.
So the king recognizes maybe out of nostalgia for when he used to fight, um, but the king recognizes this sort of spirited Griffith, and the king knows, uh, because he's wise during that time, that he kind of has to elevate Griffith for the good of the kingdom.
Yeah.
So I think it does definitely. I think that element definitely is involved as well, and shouldn't be like overlooked.
Yeah,
I mean, the king is not a very negative figure until Griffith triggers his Electra complex, more or less.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I kind of felt that it was like kind of implied that like if Griffith was in power, then people would be treated better, or something like that. At least I don't know what the hell he's trying to do in the manga, but let's
I
not.
mean, Griffith's ego is such that he wouldn't want to be anything but the most glorious freaking noble that everyone loves. So he would certainly like stamp out on corruption, keep the economy going. You know what I mean? If basically only for his own ego and his own complexes, him too, but. You are going to it's what it is. You are going to take what it takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so what do you think of Guts going on a journey to find himself, or whatever? Do you think that Griffith maybe had a point that Guts should have just known that his place in life is just to be Griffith's minion?
Well, actually, I do want to highlight again a big difference between the manga and the anime. Well, this time I think the anime does a better job at making you feel how long Guts spends outside of the Band of the Hawks. Where you have where you get this very interesting scene with the blacksmith and his granddaughter, or maybe daughter. It's unclear.
Oh, yeah,
And through this blacksmith's monologue, you kind of see Griffith, right? Where the blacksmith says, I I've committed my entire life to being a blacksmith. Um, and I wanted to be the best blacksmith, but sort sort of on the way, I became old, and I don't know why I keep hammering away and I keep making these tools, but I just do sort of without thinking, and this is very much like Guts, who only really knows how to swing a sword around. And
yeah.
I'm very conscious that I'm walking way too far into the wilderness here. I'll walk back. um,
In the manga,
but
if I'm
in
not.
the
Mhm.
yeah, but in the manga, this is sort of split up where you get like a short scene against like the knife assassin guy,
Yes, yeah. I
and
was
then
going to
he goes back to the Hawks, and then there's like an awkward flashback to like that scene where like he's like destroying logs, in like a river or something, and then he's talking to the blacksmith. I
Yeah.
think the execution there was better in the anime. Yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
In the anime, they cut it because they wanted to show the golden age arc of the characters mainly. They knew they probably wouldn't be adapting the rest, and they were right. So it is a shame because if I'm correct, this is also when Guts meets Silat, which is a great character, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Baseman.
Man, also,
Baseman is
what I was very upset about was the fact that they cut out a school night from the anime,
oh yeah,
which was very sad because of school night is like that like one beam of hope, you know, for Guts. But
yes.
anyway, it doesn't. I can, but I can still understand why he wasn't there in the anime. But yeah,
Yeah, so I understand why Puck wasn't there, but I did kind of like Puck. Um, so
yeah.
can anybody answer my Sneed question? I guess should he just have known that his place was under Guts anyway? Sorry, that Guts place was. He should have just known that his place was under Griffith.
See,
Um,
I
Mhm.
always view that like Griffith's not making some moralistic claim or anything like that. He is upset because Guts is his like most valued, and the person he most trusts is trying to leave him, and he can't stand the idea of that. Like
He
this,
also cares about him, and he doesn't want to admit it in straight language because he's wearing a Sigma Grindset mask. And so he's framing it in as you are my minion. What the hell are you doing? Trying to go away,
yeah,
basically.
and it's really interesting the contrast between him and Guts on it, where uh, Guts also very much has enjoyed his time with the Band of the Hawks, but he feels like it's his time to grow, and that with the Band of the Hawk being on the up and up, and that basically all they need to do is just play the basic moves right, and they coast into where they want to be. Uh, that Griffith at this point can do it without him, and that Griffith will understand his own desire to be ambitious. And Griffith just doesn't, and he has this very slightly childlike, but like you said, was like I'm not letting you go. Like the excuse is you belong to me, but it's like don't leave me, you bastard. Uh,
Basically,
and I don't know if this was there in the manga, but in the anime, there is like an internal monologue where Griffith's trying to plan out his blows, and he's trying to do everything possible to like not uh, strike a blow in any way that could be fatal. But he still has to think about, well, how am I going to do this? And everything about the portrayal uh, and in that scene, I thought was just so perfect. The way his eyes narrow, and
mhm.
just how he's completely incapable of even accepting this or pretending to accept it. And Guts just goes, "Can't you just leave me with a fond farewell?"
Yeah.
And Griffith just stares him down harder. Uh, and it's really at that point where Guts has almost, I guess you could say, surpassed Griffith, and that will become an issue for them once Guts returns.
Mhm.
mm. So and
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
sorry, go
I
ahead.
Sorry.
don't have much to add, to be honest.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that yeah, that sort of showdown sort of like duel is also very well done in the manga too. Um, one of advantage well one thing I liked about the anime was sort of these sort of one to one interactions you were getting in the manga, but like actually being animated so you can see a lot clearer like what's actually going on because like 'cause sometimes in the manga you get like two like panels of like swords being waved around and then like something's happened. And this is a advantage of animation, obviously. But in the anime, um, where there's like a very sort of close inspection of two fighters, you get like this quite nice animation. Yeah, but the anime does have its problems. Like sometimes, especially for large battles, it just sort of turns into a slideshow. I'm not for this um show. I'm not sure. I don't really do like much research, but I am grateful that we did get that dual animated anyway.
Mhm.
I think that that the fights with the demons later on, um, whatever they are called, the apostles or whatever. Later on after the eclipse arc in the manga are more interesting than um, the battles between the two kingdoms and all that. Like, especially while watching the anime, I kind of like felt like skipping to the point where like they just win the battle.
I mean, I quite like those battles personally, especially the one where they actually end up taking the castle. That's the first one where we really get to see Griffith use his ingenuity and like real tactics, and you can totally understand how this would work in real life. It doesn't feel contrived at all.
Which one are you
Yeah,
talking
Is
yeah, that's true. It's the one where Griffith is sieging down, the Pedo King's castle. I don't think he is a king. I think he's like the Baron or something.
about? Baron, yeah,
But
a Peter Baron.
yeah, and then Casca, she like infiltrates around their back after like the main garrison from the castle sort of leaves to meet Griffith.
Oh, yeah, they pull out all their forces, going after Griffith's forces. Griffith knows that this commander is unwise, so that he's going to do this on his personal motives. Casca's forces are able to sneak in and take control of the castle, and then combine that with the poor weather conditions and being totally surrounded and not well motivated because there's this civil war starting up. All these soldiers just abjectly start surrendering, fleeing, or dying.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's also a lot of luck involved as well with Griffith's plan
Hmm.
because Griffith is sort of primarily counting on um, the fact that the Duke or Baron, I forget which
Yeah.
he is, still still has strong feelings for him. After that night, that we might talk about later, that will cause sort of inner conflict in the in the hierarchy of the army, and also that he would then actually sally out of the castle and sort of make an attempt to capture him. Griffith is kind of counting on this discord in the enemy army,
Mm.
so that he can make his like one well, so that then a Cascar can make her like one in a million chance, infiltration attempt. And miraculously, it works because this is what Griffith does.
I mean,
His,
did
his,
you not feel
his that good.
that things went too conveniently to Griffith until he messed up? I
Exactly. It was
it was
he
fate,
was
I guess.
extremely lucky. I will say that this isn't to be like unexpected, right? Because Griffith, you know, from just like a single look, he can tell like what sort of guy you are, right? So I do believe he would be able to figure out the personality of the Duke or the
Oh yeah,
Viceroy or whatever, and
I
then
don't think it was hard.
sort of like predict what he might do in battle, or in a situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got more of the feeling that like, oh, it's fate that he must win because in the end he has to betray his like after coming so high, he has to betray everyone else, and because there's it's
Yeah.
so like it's
I
Yeah.
mean,
causality or
you
whatever. It must happen that way or something like that.
Yeah, that's true as well. And there also is like literally this sort of divine intervention where, well, not so divine, but who's where that demon sort of turns up last minute and throws his sword, down to Griffith, so that Griffith can defeat the general.
Dr.
Uh,
Guts, I think, wasn't it?
yeah, like
Let's just
Falcon or something, or like whatever. So yeah, like at the same time, there is well, sort of in the background of the entire manga and the anime, there is this feeling of like destiny and things being like pre-written as well.
oh yeah, it's a blatant theme, and like it's blatantly made the point that these demons are looking after Griffith and pushing him in various directions and saving his life. Like the first assassination attempt against him is like this arrow, and the pendant miraculously saves it. Like that's clearly the fate of the demons intervening.
So, have any of you read Chapter Zero of the Berserk manga? It's also called Berserk, the prototype. Any of you
I
read it?
have heard of it.
No,
No.
I
It's
didn't know.
basically so Miura made this before he made Berserk, and it's an adventure with Guts, and who already has like the eye patch and stuff, and Puck, and Guts saves a little girl from some rapist criminals or whatever, and the little girl just happens to look like Griffith. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. Um, yeah. So it's basically a Guts saving a little girl version of Griffith. That's Chapter Zero. Yeah.
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 Make of that as you will.
I was, yeah. Well, the manga is quite interesting because I've got a feeling that a lot of panels were like added after it was like originally published, because sometimes like when you're reading through the manga you'll get these amazingly illustrated panels where like it's really nicely shaded, and it's like a totally different art style, and then like a page later you'll get like just like the regular art style. Though I will say that the Berserk manga is very very well illustrated. It's actually it's worth checking out, like just to look at the pretty pictures. I'd say.
The pretty colors, as Snob would say.
Yeah,
And
and also like chapters. I think were like certain chapters were decanonized. Like the chapter where Griffith is becoming Femto, and he meets like the gods of the of the universe, or or like of humanity, and it's like this collective conscious sort of like disembodied entity that appears to him as like a heart, and that a chapter is like very cool. um but I can kind of see why it was sort of like decanonized, because it does take away a lot of the mystery. um so
Well,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it sets the stage, but yeah, I suppose more, even if it's decanonized, it is more or less where it is going. He is going with that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? He may not explain that in the same way. He may not have wanted to explain that in the same way. Yeah, I keep forgetting that he left us. Jesus.
yeah. It feels bad. I do hope the version of Idol Master in heaven is up to date, and and
it
still
wouldn't be
enjoyable for him.
it wouldn't be heaven otherwise for Miura anyway.
I don't know.
For the about the art style, if I'm not mistaken, it changes at some point, right? Or or,
Um,
or am I thinking of Battle Angel Alita? Um,
I'm not. I'm not sure. I like all I can make out is that it's all sort of like one consistent art style, but sometimes you'll get like a really nice panel where they've obviously gone back and like added this panel, or
Basically,
they've like remastered this panel or something.
have any of you seen? I've heard some people claim that like that after some point the characters started to look like a little bit more like idol master characters or something. I don't know if it's true or not. Um,
come on,
no, no.
come on.
Have you guys read
That
any of?
sounds like pure Sneed.
Yeah. So have you guys read any of the chapters after Miura died? Um,
Not yet.
No, not
Didn't
yeah,
have
no,
the time.
not yet. No, I went for this recording. I went back and I read the chapters that the anime covers, plus like a bit more afterwards, where Casca like loses her memories, and sort of how Guts gets his like arm, his like arm cannon and his Dragon Slayer sword as well. Which is another thing I would have liked sort of included in the anime maybe, where the blacksmith, because in the anime like the blacksmith is this very tragic character, and it seems almost like his life has been worthless, or that he regrets things, but you know at the end of the day, he was the only craftsman who could make the Dragon Slayer sword, right? you
Yeah.
know he's dedicated his entire life to blacksmithing, uh, but that little detail does actually, I don't know, it does sort of like bring some light to his character, because ultimately he was able to achieve his goal, and he was able to become the best, even if he was hated for it.
Yeah.
uh,
That's a good point.
so this is from Snob's review of Berserk. By Snob, I mean the anime Snob. He says that Berserk is an atheistic take on humanity. Although religion is a topic hardly mentioned directly in anime, over here it is openly trampled as nothing more than a false ideal to hide one's dark desires. It is extremely interesting how the show uses ideals and hopes as means for clergy and ambitious leaders to control their underlings. This was never done before so openly. It even goes as far as claiming,
I don't know if it was never done before so openly, but
yeah.
okay.
So it even goes as far as claiming how all the demons in the show are in reality people willing to sacrifice everything in order to fulfill their desires, even if it means losing their humanity and killing everyone they love. Um, I really okay. I think I really liked how monsters are not treated as generic incarnations of evil or plain misguided mortals. They are shown to be the pure form of ambition liberated by the constraints of morality, emotions, and ideals. Um,
And of the human body.
yeah, yeah,
It is a very interesting thing about Berserk, the fact that every demon was once human, because we were talking about it before. It separates Berserk, although aesthetically it may have some similarities from the concept of cosmic horror, of Lovecraftian horror, and so on and so forth, because Cthulhu doesn't care. Like the whole horror of Cthulhu is that he's there, and one day he's going to wake up, and he's waking up not even actively trying to fuck us up. He's still going to make us extinct, basically. He's going to wake up, and nobody survives that, more or less. Here, here Cthulhu fucking cares, basically, which is even worse, perhaps.
Yeah, yeah.
and then there's stuff like the rape horses, which are just just there. The rape-faced horses.
The rape horse is an example of Tulu fucking caring and saying, you know what, you asshole, get a rape horse. Enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. He's made that just for us. What a great feeling. Yeah. Just on this topic, one thing, just another thing, is that I thought the a lot of the character designs are really good. Void looks awesome. He's got that like afro, but like it's not hair. It's like his brain. And he's got like this big
Mhm.
cloak, and his like arms sort of like reach all the way down to the floor. But like so like when like he puts his like arms up, he's got these massive like skeleton hands. He just he's like he's such like a greatly designed character. And then you have Slan, who's like this it, like this I don't know, like a pagan earth goddess figure.
Mm.
Um, you know, uh, um, though I do think she would have been more powerful symbolically if her hair were like snakes. But
I don't know. I
that
think
might be
that
a
would
bit
have
too
been
like
too
on the nose.
obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have obviously Femto, which is the character Griffith turns into. He's got like a great design where like he's literally turned into the very like the most darkest parts of his personality, where he's literally turned into this hawk um monster. And then you have the other two, though I think the designs for the other two um God's hand figures, I think their designs are kind of weak. But obviously then you have Guts. He's got a he's got a great design. And then you have Cascar. Um, yeah, there's these like great character designs everywhere. Even like Princess Charlotte. Um, it's obvious that a lot of attention was put into making her look sweet and innocent, and she has this very girlish look to her. This like naivety. Mirai, or Remora did a very good job with that. Yeah, yeah. I just I just wanted to say that.
So, do you think it was dumb for Casca and the Band of the Hawk to put their all of their own aspiration, especially for Casca, I guess, and dreams under Griffith's dream? I guess hindsight is 2020, so they couldn't have known how it would have gone.
People follow leaders. Come on. Like,
Yeah.
Sure.
That is indeed the truth of the matter.
like every single one of these people, and none of them are like totally blind trust in Griffith or anything like he's their leader. He's done right by them every step of the way. They were all nothing and just petty thieves before joining this band. Of course, they're going to be totally loyal and totally
Yeah, I'm not saying
willing
that
to go
doesn't make
wherever
sense.
with him.
I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense.
But what I'm saying is that such loyalty is earned and is the right thing to do. So
So
like
maybe that's why Griffith felt betrayed, or maybe I don't know. Um, when Guts left.
well, yeah, he certainly did feel betrayed when he gets.
But was he right to feel
Yeah,
betrayed? I guess because
I mean,
hmm.
I mean, no, not really. I mean, it's an understandable feeling. Because certainly everyone else sticks with him much longer, the same as he expects, and in that respect, is understandable. And
But I guess the story is kind of showing how you are rewarded for that loyalty, I guess.
Yeah, but
Griffith felt betrayed by Guts because he felt that he owned Guts because remember how he was able to get Guts into the band and the Hawk in the first place.
yeah.
He beat them in the
Cool.
duel, and he's the only person among the band of the Hawk that he saw as a true individual and someone that he could consider an equal.
Yeah,
That's
it's
why he had that.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. So in that sense, because the others don't have their own aspirations, they are not true quote unquote true individuals or something. At mm,
Yeah, I mean, also,
In my
Griffith
opinion,
Hill.
I explained my opinion like that he was needing basically to impress the
so
princess,
you
but
think he didn't really mean it? You think he didn't really mean it?
I think,
he
I
was
think,
probably thinking at the moment like he was pumping himself into saying, "Yeah, I don't see anyone my equal,"
So you
because
so
he was going to drop those panties but real quick by by playing that card. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
but isn't it because um I guess but he didn't really see he didn't see Guts as his equal, but as his underling. But Guts tried to be his equal.
Yeah.
Um, and
One thing that Guts didn't see in that moment was that perhaps Griffith didn't see him like an equal, but he still loved him. I mean, heterosexually, but he still freaking cared about it.
yeah, exactly. So he still didn't see him as his equal, I guess. Um,
yeah, I think, I think it's very clear that they were very good friends. They had that relationship where Griffith could basically just ask Guts to like kill someone or many people, and Guts would just do it. They had this very close relationship. I think
Mhm.
when it's usually going to hurt when you lose a friend, regardless of the circumstances. But in the case of Griffith, Guts was a guy he also like respected as well, right? There was this also this mutual respect, and for Griffith, Guts was his tool, you know, and he did like demand this high level of subservience from him, as he did all of his allies and all of his other friends, quote
of
unquote.
course.
But the difference is that his other friends were looking up to him, where Guts was the only man who could look sort of almost sort of level with him. And I would even argue that after Guts wins the duel, Guts then even surpasses him in certain aspects as well.
Oh
So
yeah,
this
Mm.
this was with someone with a ego as big as Griffith. Um,
and you
you, you know this is going to hurt a lot. Where finally after all this winning, these constant victories, he finally loses something, and the thing he loses is so major to him as well. Like it obviously is going to have like major it's obviously going to have a major impact on how he behaves.
yeah, and you can also see how much Griffith once he gets rescued realizes that Guts is surpassing him in a lot of ways.
Actually,
Although
now
yeah,
that I think about it, it's very funny that the first thing that Griffith does after Guts leaves him is have sex with the with the princess, which shows that there's like a erotic element of Griffith's feelings to Guts because the first thing he does when he leaves him is fuck someone else.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
was
he was thinking about it
yeah.
the whole time we went there before.
Also, just a random trivia. Since speaking of Guts leaving Griffith, did you know that Ennio Morricone contributed to the Berserk 1997
Mhm.
soundtrack? Like
No, do you know which track it was?
it's called
Yeah.
something Mother's Death. It's the one that plays. It's the most out of place sounding song. It only plays once throughout the anime. It's the one that plays after Guts kills the Queen by Griffith's command. It's the music. It's the music that plays in between that and him leaving. Like there's this long silence
Oh
and it's just
yeah.
playing that song. That's the Ennio Morricone song. And
So,
Very
no, he,
interesting.
he didn't
Real cool
he didn't
music.
actually he didn't actually make it, but it is an he didn't make it for the anime. It was taken from another of his soundtracks and then used in the anime. It was originally part of the soundtrack of the film The Blue-Eyed Bandit, the Italian film The Blue-Eyed Bandit.
I will look all this up, my
um,
mans. Thank you.
so since we were on the topic of Griffith's set's life, so um, I guess there's sort of a meme, a love triangle between Griffith, Casca, and Guts. But did you guys feel like Griffith actually decided Casca at any moment, or was it just about messing with Guts?
Well, the feeling I got from it all was that Casca was just sort of there, in the back of Griffith's mind, and he probably had some understanding of Casca's feelings, but he was concentrating on more important things in his mind. Uh, but especially since obviously he was trying to get with Princess Charlotte, since that was the most effective pathway up. After he gets like tortured and rescued, I very much did get the impression that there is some real envy there on the part of Griffith, that like he used to hold this woman in his hands and now she belongs to someone else, and like even if back at the time he thought nothing of it, now there's some real regret there.
Yeah, yeah. And also, Cascar is a symbol of his past glory, right? Because Cascar like literally worshipped Griffith.
Oh yeah.
Um, but her attitude changes wildly towards him after they rescue him. Her attitude towards Griffith goes from I'm worshiping this guy to now I'm like caring for him, and it's like a king for it's literally like sympathy for a disabled person, right? And so
Yes.
and so Griffith can the attitudes Casca has towards him is something Griffith can also see, right?
Yeah.
And it's most blatantly shown with the relationship between Casca and Guts, right? That develops um, sort of before they go and rescue him. And so maybe Griffith is jealous because he did have feelings for Casca. It's left very it's left them ambiguous. But I think certainly what's going on is that Griffith feels a lot of I don't know, he feels a lot of sort of anger that he can no longer be a figure to worship now, and it is sort of formalized by the fact that Cascott cannot look at other men and the desire of a man, and the worst of all, the man she desires is the one man in the whole world who can surpass him. So this is their relationship is symbolic of Griffith's downfall.
Mm.
Yes, I
Oh yeah,
think
someone
that
someone
moment is
mentioned
really
sorry.
No, I'm gone. What?
Someone mentioned the really cool character designs of Berserk earlier. Since we're talking about when Griffith was rescued, it's so cool how in his full armor and regalia he looks like the namesake of his mercenary band. He looks like a hawk. He looks like a proud hawk. But when he when he's captured and tortured, they keep the helmet on, and now he looks like a helpless, emaciated chick.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, the original name is if I recall correctly, the original name is the band of the not band of the hawk. It's the band of the falcon. There, because Miro was paying tribute to Star Wars.
Hmm.
Yes, one of the arc later, it's even sort of called the Millennium Falcon for this need.
Um,
So where does band of the White Phoenix come into this? because that's what their faction was going to be renamed to after they like received honors, right? I think before Griffith gets poisoned, or Griffith fakes his or Griffith fakes his own death, they were like renamed, but that like never really happens because
stuff happens.
because like the queen, well, yeah, because the queen died, and all sorts of turbulence happens at that point as well. But yeah, they were going to be named like this like really like lame title, like like a like a band of like the White Phoenix or something. But yeah, I mean, come on, like Band of the Hawk
Maybe
before.
another reference to something else. Who knows? So yeah, Casca and Guts are a better couple than Cha and Lala. Just saying.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
uh,
so true.
and you know what the criteria there
But
is.
more men today can relate to Char and Lala because of the ongoing mommy GF pandemic.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's more damning.
And even more so because Char's a white dude attracted to a brown chick. So plenty
Okay.
of
Okay.
dudes today
Enough.
can relate to
Okay,
that.
that's
Uh,
okay. We have the same commonality there, then, in both
um,
shows.
So
yeah.
true.
And not everybody has retard brown JF, I guess. Speaking of which, I guess one of the quote-unquote criticisms is what regarding Casca's character is that she becomes a retard, and
Which makes the perfect waifu.
yeah, uh, but I guess that like she sort of becomes a useless character, which takes up screen time essentially. Um, did you guys feel that at all?
Well,
No.
It was I thought it was just tragic, really. I didn't feel like it was being wasted. She was a very important character. And
I
she had
think
obviously been
I think what the
she had been like completely ruined by by the events of the festival, basically.
yeah,
Um,
I think the criticism is more that they should have just killed her character rather than keep her around, so that like she can make like some gag or whatever about being cute and
No,
retarded.
no, there's a twofold reasoning to making Casca fucking retarded. One, it was to hammer down the isolation Guts has, because like he has no more companions left. All the band of the Hawk are dead. All he has left is her, but she's retarded now. So and the other reason was so that Guts has kind of like an anchor, like something that's supposed to motivate him and keep him grounded. and not go full Berserk 1997.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
speaking of Guts companions being retarded, another criticism which I've heard is that the new companions which he gets are retarded comic relief characters um, as well. Like that boy, whatever his name is, the lolly.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But I mean, you kind of have to have something that to sort of like balance out Griffith.
But
Like
Bug was enough.
Griffith is, yeah, I guess. But these other characters aren't that bad. Okay.
Mm.
When Griffith is just very heavyweight that you have to sort of counteract, otherwise it will just like become like this like misery porn. So
So another
it's sort of like
criticism,
why do we exist, just to suffer?
yeah,
It will like turn into that. You're gonna have to have some comedy.
yeah.
And I was very surprised reading back, like just how much comedy is sort of put in the manga. Because even when they're like rescuing Griffith, which is a very sad, and very foreboding moment, you have like Guts like joking about the Cascar, you know. So there is this sort of humor interspersed quite well, really,
Yeah, I mean,
throughout the whole thing.
it's sort of the same thing with. I think no, it's more extreme. It's even more extreme when it comes to the comparison between the Ghost in the Shell and anime, and the movie and the manga. Like the manga is full of comedy and fan service, and fan service, comedy including fan service.
Yeah, the rape scene I is a lot in
Which
the
rape scene? There's plenty.
oh the
Yeah,
one
good
with
question.
what's the top trips? Yeah.
Casca.
Okay. Um.
Yeah, yeah. At the end, I've prepared a tier list for a best rape scene, and no, I'm joking.
Yeah. The thing is, we all know which one it is. So
Well, is it the best or is it like the worst? I mean, come
come to
on.
think of it, there's a lot of foreshadowing about Casca's rape because she almost gets raped a few times. So
Yeah, yeah.
um.
A few. It's like every other like arc basically.
So another criticism which I've heard about the companions is that they are fucking useless. And that it's just Guts who defeats all the enemies and has to save these useless.
Well, each of every one of them is supposed to have its moment under the sun. We just don't see it in the anime.
Mm, I was mostly thinking about the companions which come later, because I don't think
In the manga, no, yeah, those guys are comic relief.
because
What can you do? What can you do?
yeah, I don't think that the characters in the anime were useless. They couldn't
Mhm.
kill 100 men, but they could put up a fight.
The point of Guts having uh, adventurous party basically in the later manga is to show people that he's opening up and he's trying to develop again basically as a person after the
Uh,
trauma and everything else.
I guess maybe the reason why some people were disappointed is because they want to see the final showdown between Guts and Griffith, but instead we get this I don't know, comedy adventure, borderline, I guess, not exactly comedy, but
Well,
yeah.
there's still the God of the Sea. That was bad time. I
Mm.
can think of several bad times after there is lost children after the golden age.
That was a
That
very
was
good one. That was a very good one.
assuredly one of the best arcs, and most assuredly a very bad time for everyone involved. You know what?
Yeah, But I don't remember many of the side characters being there at that point. Uh, or maybe they
No.
were, but I can't remember. Um, right.
Yeah.
So, uh,
It's the
uh,
thing I really just like the last thing I really wanted to talk about is the music, which I think most people who are fans of Hirasawa or however you say his name sort of got into him through Berserk, right? Because you have that some of these like amazing tracks like Gatsu. I'm sure like other people here have heard that one. I can't recite it because I'm not the
Yeah.
vocalist that Hirasawa is, but yeah, and there's just throughout the entire anime, you get this amazing soundtrack with all these like versatile sounds. You have like bagpipes, actually used to their advantage, and they don't sound terrible, which is very rare for bagpipes, I will say. And then you have these like amazing vocalizations. It's just like an A+ soundtrack. Um, some people have problems with this soundtrack because it is like very distinct, and it's at the end of the day, Hirasawa is always going to make like very unique sounds. I personally got found Hirasawa through watching um what's it called it's that Satoshi Kon film
I
by
must go,
watching
guys.
oh yeah I'll see you later hopefully.
So
Yeah,
Are we talking about the soundtrack of the
yeah,
original Berserk anime?
through watching Paprika. There we go. I've just
I
remembered.
must leave. See you soon.
Yeah, I'll see you later. Yeah, and since then, he has been like one of my favorite sort of like foreign artists. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what are you what you guys thought of the soundtrack, or if you thought anything at all of it. But I thought it was really great. And it's quite good like seeing him. I don't know if he came back to like to do the sounds of the new shows. I think the guy who made a soundtrack for Evangelion, he also made some tracks for the new Berserk anime um, adaptations too. I think Forces, that one. I think that song was remixed a few times, and you get like a few remixes in some of the newer adaptations. But as far as that, like
I really
that's what
love
I
that
know
theme because it
about
sounds amazing.
Hirasawa's involvements with the newer adaptations. But I think Hirasawa is perfect for matching the tone of Berserk, where it's he produces these beautiful sounds, but at the same time they're also quite unusual and often quite otherworldly as well.
I'll be
yeah,
Hello.
honest. Uh, when I first watched the 1997 anime, which was my first exposure to Berserk, I thought the soundtrack sounded goofy as shit. Like when Forces first played during that raid scene, I thought, why does this sound like techno Chinese New Year? And when I when I heard Guts' theme where it goes ho ho, I thought that sounded
Yeah,
goofy as
yeah.
shit as well.
It's also
but it grew on me over the years. It's just
it
I
is.
didn't expect for something like
Honestly, I think yeah, that was the same reaction I had to the whole soundtrack of Berserk as well. Everything sounded so weird to me at first, but everything kind of grows on you. Like even the opening, the first time I heard it, I thought this is one of the worst anime openings I've ever heard. And now, I don't know if
Yeah,
it's because
yeah.
it became a meme or it slowly started growing
Mm,
onto me.
mm,
But everything that I've listened to in the anime has kind of grown on me. Even I really hated Guts' theme at first. It sounded so weird every time it played. and then I just started appreciating it even more.
Yeah, Hirasawa's music, like, you do have to give it some like time for it to grow on you, like a horrible fungal infection. But it is worth it. And yeah, I will say the opening to the 90s um adaptation like does sound goofy, where it's like how does it go? Put your glasses on, nothing will be wrong. But by the end, I was like fully singing along to it, right? I was I fully bought into
You're
the
pronouncing
energy.
it too correctly.
Oh yeah, I know, I have. But yeah, it's just
You have to relearn English.
it is as you say. Yeah, you will have to learn this thing called English.
Yeah. So,
There was there was actually something that Thrax pointed out to me before, that there is one track that sticks out so much because it actually sounds like a traditional. It
Yeah.
sounds
We
like a
we we
traditional
mentioned
medieval
that
song.
earlier. We mentioned that
Oh
one
right.
earlier. The Ennio Morricone song, the one that sounds so out of place.
Ironically, it's the one that
Yeah, right.
it's supposed to fit the time period the most, but then because everything else just sounds so weird, this one sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, if any of our fans are watching this, God help you if you are watching this stream. But I would definitely encourage you to check out some of Hirasawa's music, especially like some of like his mid.
Psycho. What was he? What's that other anime he did for? Psycho. What's it called?
What was
Psychopath.
it like, Psychopaths maybe?
No, not
But
Psychopaths. The one with the kid with the baseball bat who beats the shit out of people.
Paranoid agents?
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Oh yeah, there, Paranoid. My bad.
Paranoid Agent. Yeah. There's some really great tracks there. Obviously, Paprika, as I said, I think he's done way more stuff as well. Did he? No, he wouldn't have done that. But yeah, just like most of his like best tracks are on YouTube. I mean, it's not difficult to find his music. I would I don't really like his like P model stuff. I kind of like his solo stuff more. If he's I mean, he probably he probably never had like a solo career, but in like my head canon, when it's not under the under a P model, that's his solo career. So my head canon is probably wrong because he usually does make his music with other people. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. But yeah, I apologize for straying so far away from the from Berserk at this point.
Yeah,
So,
and the ending theme of Berserk, I thought it was going to be "Beat It" by Michael Jackson. If you know what I'm talking about.
mm,
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
I don't. What is he
just
talking
beat
about?
it,
Yeah, listen to the
beat it,
ending credits theme of
beat it,
Berserk, and like the
beat it.
first few seconds, and then listen to the first few seconds of "Beat It" by Michael Jackson.
I see.
Yeah.
You can remix the two.
Mm. Um, do you guys understand the supernatural stuff which is happening now or like what's it building up to? The demonic invasion or
Shit, man, I thought you were going to do a segue and start and bring out some random world event that's happening in real life, and I thought, what? Is something fucking happening?
Yeah,
Did
demons
did
are
No,
a
invading
dragon
England.
fly
they
out of the sky and blow up an airport?
Casca was de-retardified in in the latest arc.
oh yeah, she was, yeah. Um so I guess let's go for ratings.
Yeah.
Um
The manga gets a 8. It's great fun. The creature designs are fun. There's lots of great characters, especially early on. and the anime gets like a 7, or like a 6.5. It's still it has a lot of charm. There's some really great stuff there, but it's still very, like it's also very rough around the edges, and it cuts out a
Yeah,
lot
I
of cool
agree.
things from the manga as well.
There really is a charm to the original anime that I can't seem to find in even the OVAs and, well, yeah, even the OVAs. So, the only thing that really held, the only thing that kind of held back for me, the what held back the beauty of the old one was how there were so many scenes where it was so obvious they cheaped out and the animation wasn't exactly up to snuff.
Yeah,
I mean
It kind
that's
of felt like
fair.
they were really stretching their budget.
They were definitely stretching their budget, and you're right in terms of like raw animation, like as in movement on screen. Yeah, they cheap out a little bit, but in terms of visual fidelity and always keeping the show looking picturesque, they never skimp on that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Even those moments where they would just stop and then turn everything into a watercolor drawing out of nowhere. Those moments stood out and looked really really nice. They didn't look cheap.
Has
yeah. You could you could take a lot of stills from the anime. I mean,
You can.
I think the best still in the anime is right after Guts fights those 100 men, and he's just sort of like sitting up against a tree, and like his like sword is like by his side, and sort of when a Casca and friends come back to sort of get him, there's a still there where you see that where you sort of see him in like this like field of bodies, and he's resting up against a tree, and he just looks like so just done. That's probably like the best like still in the entire anime, and it's really I don't know, it's just very beautiful, I guess.
Yeah,
I think it's
Berserk
beautiful.
97 is one of the best examples of low budget, good art direction.
Yeah,
I just call it medium budget, but yeah, I think it's very well done.
I guess we need to have a metric of what low budget actually looks like then.
Pro Marty High School.
it's like low
compare
budget
this
is
to
like trying
fucking
to identify a puzzle. When does a water droplet become a puzzle? It's like when does low budget?
When is a rock a boulder?
Yeah, exactly. You sort of you sort of know it's low budget when you see it, but
yeah, like
but you
look
can never quite identify where the edges are.
no, look at Claymore, which has like no animation at all. Or look at most things Studio Dean or a little very rough. Gonzo's Helsing, you can very much tell it's low budget because you've got like very little movement and backgrounds barely exist and stuff like that.
has the go and the violence in the anime aged well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, I didn't see a problem.
Mm. So I think
I actually I don't know if you guys talked about it, but I actually also really enjoyed the English dub of Berserk.
Oh yeah, it's a good
Wow.
English dub. Like it's one of those '90s dubs where everyone's very honest, and so you have some shakiness in terms of some of the performances, but also some rawness and some passion that doesn't come through as well.
My favorite voices are Griffith, Void, and Minister Foss. Those are the
Shit,
performances I
man. Yeah,
really
Void's
like
voice is amazing.
in the
Yeah.
English dub.
The in
Those
this
three
world
voices.
narration was so good.
And Griffith's voice. Oh yeah, I also want to say that the 97 has the best
Has the best
design
looking
for
Griffith.
Griffith.
Yeah, I
He doesn't
agree
look
with
like a
that too.
troon. He doesn't look like a trap. He's got that balance of
A
masculine and
beautiful
feminine
looking man.
features.
That's pretty much
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly.
He
He doesn't look like a little
a
girl.
woman. He looks like a beautiful man.
Yeah.
It had good character design. I don't mean like the designs that Mira made, but the design how they adapted the designs of Mira for the 97 anime. It translated really well, and I think it's the best animated appearances that the characters have had yet.
Mm.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will agree with that.
Why did he give Griffith lipstick in the OV? I never
Um,
understood that.
so, Heraclius, how about you? How would you rate it?
I'd give this anime like an 8 to a 9 out of 10. I was really impressed. I really have no complaints like Lodge had it, ultimately.
Hmm.
Yeah, honestly, I'm like still salty that they didn't include Skull Knight, but oh well.
Okay.
Whenever I show 97 to friends, I always skip the first episode because I don't want to spoil the supernatural elements. I really want it to come off as a shocker. Like I show the first
Yeah,
episode last.
that's fair.
No, yeah,
Yeah, I don't feel like the first episode really has to be there or anything.
Yeah, it doesn't do a great job of kind of setting the tone, especially since you're so far apart from what actually happens
I feel
on the
like
first episode.
I feel like when it was being made, it was serving as a way to sort of communicate and show something where they were in the manga at that point, so that people who
Mm-hmm.
like were reading the manga and wanted some of that arc adapted and weren't going to get that, we're going to get a little something. We're going to get a little teaser, get a little pull in to watch through all this. Yeah, looking at it now, it
That
does
bad guy also had
feel.
a good English dub voice.
Mhm,
The one who had a dick for a mouth, the Cobra dude.
mm.
I just find it sad that the count will never get animated because I actually really like that
The very
chap
first
that
chapter.
arc. It's not
Yeah,
it's
the
not the
very
first
first
arc.
arc.
First was Cobra Commander, and then it was the Count.
Okay, okay.
But I really like the Count story because for me that really sets the tone for the tragic themes of the series,
yeah.
and he has a cool
Also,
design.
yeah, and also like the like alchemist, like scientist guy, he's like a leper, who's like living in like his basement, and yeah, like he's also a great character. We didn't get to see. Yeah. God, I was also gonna say, God, like I've completely forgot. Oh man. Okay, then just ignore me. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm also giving it a 7 out of 10. Um, yeah. Um, do you, Husky and Trats, do you want to give a score or not? If not, I
Nah,
think
nah.
no.
I don't like
I
giving
don't give a
scores.
score.
So
I'd rather say recommended or not recommended, and for me it's a recommended.
mm-hmm.
Quite fair.
Yeah, I recommend
Oh
it too.
yeah,
Yeah, I
and
think.
did you guys talk about the bloopers of the English dub? Because those are also really gold. They're so funny.
No,
Especially
well,
all the moments where Griffith sings.
Now we should talk about what's your favorite rapesman.
Yeah, I think that there's a video of it all of them, and it's like
It's
it's
pretty
the whole.
amazing how all the major characters got raped.
yeah.
Uh,
Um, so on that note,
So in the anime, I think Guts is spared. Guts
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
Guts is spared in the
Guts's
anime.
childhood rape is not shown.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wait,
which is
what
appreciated.
what did
yeah.
you what did you guys think of the what did you guys think of the character General Boscone? Oh
Oh fuck!
no General
uh,
General Adon Kobowitz.
I love that guy.
I didn't like him.
Yeah, he was great.
You liked him?
Really, I thought. Yeah, I thought. I thought he was just like so goofy.
There are no
Especially
trees.
when like, especially when like he hits Casca with like that with that what is it, that neutralizer like venom thing. What's it called? That's oh god, I've sorry,
This
this
secret
special
technique
attack
is
has
called
been
Rexygen Rye, a technique
yeah,
passed on to the Korbowitz family for 3 generations.
I've completely
Is
lost the
he
ability to
a,
speak now.
I feel like he has to be the inspiration for General Armstrong in Full Metal Alchemist. They talk in the exact same way.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just I just find like it's a particularly funny when after he gets defeated by Cascar, he like he just like turns into this like complete coward, like all his false
bravado.
yeah, bravado sort of comes away, and like he's like, please don't hurt me, I was just following orders. And then when like Casca looks away, he poisons her or something, or no, he tranquilizes her, and then and then he starts like showing off again, just like completely shameless. I just thought that was like pretty funny. But yeah, he does he does get his comeuppance, obviously. Yeah,
It's pretty.
I
It's pretty interesting how even during his death, I mean, this guy threatened to rape Casca and have all of his men rape her, and then he cowardly poisoned her, and all that shit. And then even as she killed him, she said it's a shame. She said something like, "It's a shame that we had to be on opposite sides because you were a pretty interesting man," or something like that.
No, I don't remember that. I mostly got the impression of like sheer pity at like such a pathetic guy.
I think she
I'd
said
probably have to rewatch it.
something. At least in the sub, it was something like, "It's a pity that you were such an interesting man, even though you were such a bastard and annoying." Something like that.
Yeah, it was something close to that, I think. Something
yeah, and there's
approximating that.
and
Which kind
in
of
the
reflected
manga,
which reflected my thoughts when I was watching it. Like this guy is so funny despite being such a fucking asshole and a loser.
yeah, and
And
in the manga, I
he's
think
supposed to be the guy
Casca
we're rooting
says
against.
that she would like laugh if it wasn't, if this display wasn't so pitiful. Yeah, like his an okay character. He's like a solid like C tier character, I'd say.
I
Yeah.
think he's one of those solid
Did you
what do you call those mooks? He's a solid mook.
Yeah, he's a mini boss.
Did we what?
did you guys discuss
I mean, do you
the
even count that
was it the
as
idea of
the
evil or
boss?
idea of God?
Not as much, no. You certainly go into that.
Yeah, I don't know that one too well. I haven't read that, but it's supposedly the deleted chapter of
Yeah,
Berserk. Mira took it down because he felt that it revealed too much of it revealed too much of the world building, or it was too much of a spoiler for the rest of the series. Did anyone read it?
I
yeah, I read it.
I did too. It's been a long time though, and I don't know. I kind of lost interest in the world building after a certain point. Um, when the supernatural stuff became so common. Um, basically after the demonic invasion started up, and yeah, I guess I just wanted to see Guts and Griffith meeting again and something happening there, rather than the island arc and all that stuff. And yeah, I think we have pretty much discussed everything. Would you guys agree?
I came in late, so I wouldn't
Yeah,
know.
I just want
I
to
still
hear.
want
I just want to hear
to.
one by one. What are your favorite apostle designs?
Um, Flan, maybe.
Brain,
Um, with the fairy, whatever her name was.
pervert.
Rosanne,
I can't
Rosaline, something.
something like that.
I don't know the names of any of these
Yeah.
things.
Was this the one from the Lost Child arc?
Yeah,
Lost
exactly.
Children
Yeah,
arc?
yeah,
Yeah, her.
yeah.
I don't know my favorite apostle design, but my favorite armor design is definitely that duck build one. Such a cute armor design.
What
Oh
about
yeah,
you?
yeah, I'm with that one.
What about you, Ferret Knight?
I've forgotten what the apostles are because
They're
The
they're
guys who
right.
got
the
the Behelits
servants
and became.
of the god hand. Yeah, and became demons essentially. Like they can
Oh,
transform willingly into
oh yeah,
demons.
sorry, yeah. I just think of them as like high tier demons. I think my favorite is like the not the first one, but like the what's he called? Um, the demon who's been around for like 400 years and like he's killed like thousands of men. And he he um he looks like a traditional.
Zod,
Yeah,
Nosferatu
Zod. Yeah,
Zod. Ah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. He has a
Here,
cool
here, here.
design.
I actually like quite like his
I
character
really love
because
that
he also
scene where
has
they
like some.
entered the dungeon. They entered the. Sorry, go
Yeah,
on.
yeah, and because he also has some like very good interactions with Score Knight as well, and anything to do with Score Knight is always welcome in my book because Score Knight is awesome and he should be like in it more. Uh, anyway, um, yeah, but also like Zod's he's less sort of yeah. Oh, on the one hand, Zod's has just likes killing people, but he's sort of like more he's more like controlled than like the other apostles, you could say. Where like he's been on Earth for so long, he has like this perspective, and he's also like clued into more. What he's also like way more clued into to the grander plan going on as well. So he's just like a very interesting character, in my opinion.
Hmm.
You guys remember that scene where Griffith was talking to the princess and she asked him a question and out of nowhere he just pulls a leaf from a branch and starts using it as a flute. I always wondered what the significance of that was. I mean, what did he mean by the flute thing? I mean by the whistle thing with the leaf.
Wasn't he just trying to distract her from the hunt because she didn't like
I think I disconnected.
hello, can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Griffith was just trying to distract the princess from the hunt because she didn't like watching animals getting killed or something. Um, right? Wasn't that it? Oh,
Yeah.
Let me check.
Yeah, but there is there is also this childish side of a Griff as well. I don't know, I guess like Griffith is like quite a childish character. He's still holding the same dream he had since he was a child, which was to sort of get to the castle. Um,
To create a
I don't know.
castle, yeah.
yeah, kind of reminded me
Made
of.
of
Kind of reminded me a little bit of the villain from Sword Art Online, who like he also I guess his motives were a lot vaguer. Where like something like he said something like that he dreamed of a castle floating in the sky, and that's why he forced a lot of people to get stuck in a video game and die in there for some reason. Yeah, but so something like that. I guess. Um, what about you, Heraclius? What's your favorite apostle? I guess.
I mean, I only saw them at the very end. I liked Zod. I liked the look of this skeleton head guy. Um,
Yeah.
that's that's
Yeah.
about it.
I think that they
Yeah,
briefly do
that's the
show
point.
do show the one from the Lost Children arc in the anime.
Yeah,
They do show her for a bit.
Mhm.
I think next.
What's the kid called? He's called like a Crocus or like Krobus.
No, wasn't it Rickard?
Oh yes, a Rickard. What the fuck? Where did I get Crocus from?
He's
Uh,
the thief, the former thief.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah, no. Yes. So yeah, that's that Apostle sort of a great sort of tricks Rickert into into going like going back to the camp after like collecting water. And in the anime, it's actually it's much darker because it's heavily implied that he gets just like eaten by the demons. But in the anime, um, your boy School Knight comes and saves the day, and he
In the
saves
manga,
Rickert.
yeah, in the manga.
Yes, in the manga, yes, of course. I'm losing it slowly. I do apologize. I don't know if you could tell or not, but I've slowly been losing my ability to speak properly.
Mm. Yeah, I think
There's this
that's
shot in the
which shot.
there's this shot in the manga I like. I actually don't know where this is from, but I'm going to assume it's when Griffith activates the Behelit, where it's this one. I'm just gonna post it on recording channel. It's these. I just Google searched Berserk Apostles to look at their designs again, and I like this shot of all these gangly, creepy looking humanoid figures standing ankle deep in water, and it's very creepy to look at. I'm assuming this is when Griffith activates the Behelit, and then you start seeing all these creatures walk throughout
That
Yeah,
was
the
that
horizon.
was that was the scene where the carriage crashed into the water, and it's prior to him activating it.
Yeah,
They're all just waiting there, and that
yeah,
was a really creepy scene in the anime as well
yeah. I
because of
loved
the
it. I loved it
lighting.
too. I love that scene too.
Heraclius, since you haven't read the manga afterwards, how did you feel about the sort of cliffhangery ending, or didn't you feel like it was a cliffhanger at all? I'm talking about the anime. Hello?
Hmm?
I guess you can't hear us. Um, yeah. Anyway, I think we have already covered most of the topics that we wanted to talk about, and we are approaching, or we have passed the 2 hour mark. So shall we call it a
yeah,
day, guys? Um,
yeah,
Yep.
sure. Um,
right. So that's the end.
Last question. Last question.
Okay. What's the last question?
Um, did Griffith do anything wrong?
Uh, we discussed it at the start, but I don't think Fahrenheit answered that question. So let's ask him.
no, Griffith did absolutely nothing wrong.
All right.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
Nice.